Page 14, Café Blues. It's another blues piece. So I'm going to go through the routine I used to learn a piece of music. Let's see what I end up with. I look it over, I see it's 2 pages long, although there are repeat signs, so it's really longer than 2 pages, but there's only 2 pages of music to deal with, so that's what I'm concerned about. The clef signs are treble and bass clef. I always check the clef signs because they don't have to be treble and bass. They could be other, whatever. Key signature is 1 flat. That means it's either in F major or D minor because those are the keys with 1 flat. If I look at the end, we're over here. Bottom page 15, we're in D. I'm guessing we're in D minor. Doesn't really matter that much because when doing the scales and arpeggios, I do it for the key signatures. So I recommend do the scale for F major and the scale for D minor, and go ahead and do the arpeggio at least 1 octave up and down. I have videos on it. Do what I say in the video. And then 4/4 time. I want to take this 1 hand at a time, make sure I understand what each hand is doing before I put them together. The right hand comes in the second line, and the notes are here. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm sure this rhythm is all over the place. 1. On page 15, you're starting out on measure 15. You see the numbers at the beginning of the lines in the little boxes? Those are measure numbers. So measure 15, it's 1 and 2 and 4 and 1. But in the next line, measure 19, it's the same notes, but it has the 8VA above it. So now we're going to come up here. Well, at the end of the first line, you have 1 beat rest to come up. So you're ready. 1 up here, and then for measure 23 on the 3rd line, the 8VA went away. So you're back down here. They put in an LOCO. LOCO means local, means where it is. Play it where it is. You don't really need it. The AVA went away. That's close enough. But it's just be sure and play it down here. AVA again up here, and then measure 27. Now you're local again. So you're going back and forth between up and down here. Left hand was starting out simple enough with half notes. Don't forget the B flats. That's in the key signature. For the most part, that's what you're doing in the left hand. You get quarter notes on page 15. Keep in mind, like in the second line on measure 19, the right hand went up, left hand doesn't move. It's right there, because that AVA only applies to the staff it's next to, not both. If they wanted it to be both, they had to put in a note, both hands, or something to the, so you know it's both. Otherwise, the left hand's staying here. Now the last line. It's okay at the last 2 measures, it's here. I want you to come up here. 1, 1. I would prefer not to, if possible. I don't want to do that. Showy, it's nice if you want to. Okay, look at me, yay. But otherwise, no, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to reach out and use 2, 5. I can cover all 3 of those notes in 1 hand position, and typically that's what I will do. It doesn't mean one fingering is right or wrong. It simply is an example of different ways of fingering the same thing. There's different fingering styles. Different teachers teach different styles. Your teacher may want something else. That's fine. Do what they're asking you to do while you study under them. Another teacher might tell you something different. That's music for you. Here, I don't want to move my hand anymore than I have to. So on the last measure, I just reach out. I'm not really moving the hand. I'm just stretching out a little bit. Then I put the hands together. And when I first put the hands together, I usually hesitate. I don't care. I just try to figure out how the coordination between the hands. We're here at second line, at measure 5. It's then here, there, measure 6. The right hand plays the A before the left hand does. Like that. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So they're not not at the same time. So I go through and I put the hands together, and then I go back through it however many times it takes, slowly and carefully, and I get rid of the hesitations. And that can take a while, that getting rid of the hesitations. I mean, in some pieces I work on, I can be doing that for a couple of months to just try and get them. These are longer, more involved pieces. The point is, that's what I'm working on, and I'm not going on until I have that taken care of. The beat is a steady beat throughout. And once I can do that, then I'll think about the articulation. Here, it's pretty connected. You have a few staccatos, and you can lift up between these curved lines. Lift up, just lift up, like taking a breath. Staccato. Measure 5, you have accent. A little extra. So I go through and I put in all the articulation stuff, and then I go back and I put in the dynamics. See, I have to do this one thing. I can't focus on multiple things. It's one thing at a time. Dynamics. The dynamic applies to the melody wherever it is. Now the first line is an introduction, there's no melody. The MF is just, well, there's only one hand playing. Mezzo forte, it's moderately loud, whatever you think that is. The second line, moderately loud again. You'd think, well, why are they giving me another moderately loud? I'm already moderately loud. Because when you repeat it, you're not moderately loud anymore. So they have to put in an MF on measure 5 to make sure you're moderately loud, because you're going to play this more than once. And that's the melody. It makes the accent note a loud note. This left hand needs to be in the background. It needs to drop down. And then soft. It means the accent note is moderately soft. It just takes it up a little bit. Back up. And then measure 11, you come down. Ba-da-dum. You feel it. This is where you come down about moderately soft or so, or soft, whatever you're coming down. And that repeat sign sends you back to measure 5. That's why you need the MF up there. Otherwise, you'd stay soft, because you stay at a dynamic until they give you something else. And so we're back up to moderately loud then. Now, the last two measures on page 14 here, you have the hairpin. Go up and back down. We swell up and back down. Feel this. Now, keep in mind on these hairpins, as well as the dynamics and so forth, they don't always put them exactly where they go. You have to figure out what makes sense musically on where it is. Well, in this, next to the last measure on page 14, we have an accent on that. Here. That's sort of where probably the highest point is, and then you come down. Here. Yeah, I don't know. You experiment on what feels right, what sounds right. Here. And then you come down. You come down to very soft here. Because in measure 15 we're soft. The left hand's got to be very soft. Measure 18, crescendo up, a little louder, now we're up, and then soft, all of a sudden. So experiment with these dynamics. Ideally, you get to know it well enough, you're comfortable enough with it, you're not thinking about notes, rhythms, and all that stuff. You're getting into the music, you're feeling the music, you feel the dynamics too, and the articulation. And since I already talked about the repeat, you understand first and second endings, I hope. The first time you play page 14 at the bottom, you do the first ending. That's the one and the... Then when you repeat and you do it again, you skip the first ending, because you only do it once. You do the second ending and go on. That's how that works. So it's a couple lines longer than it looks. Now for the speed, it says moderately with a swing rhythm. And then they give us metronome ideas. And it's a felt thing. But the swing is, we swing the counting. It's not 1 and 2 and 3 and like I've been doing. I do it that way to learn it. Then when I think about the speed, then I add the swing. And it's 1 and 2, long short. You feel it. There's no notation for it. So it's at eighth notes. Measure 5. Bum, ba, da, 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 all the way through. So now there is a limit to how fast or slow you can go and swing. Because too fast it doesn't swing, and too slow that doesn't swing. Ugh. So when you start going too fast or too slow, you have to even it out. Start playing it evenly. Well, at the bottom of page 15, the last two measures, it says slow or no swing. The idea is now we're slowing it down to the point where it doesn't swing anymore, so you just play them evenly, and this happens a lot. So that last line on page 15, you're up here. You just slow it down and play it evenly. Now, there is a note above the stabs there on measure 5. Right hand 8/8 on repeat. So that means that when you get down to the bottom to the repeat sign and you go back up to play it again, now you're going to move the right hand up. So instead of here, it comes up here. And you stay there for the rest of the page. And then on page 15, you see the LOCO. That tells you to go back where you were. Play it locally. Come down here. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the louds and softs. I'm just playing notes and rhythms. I will do the swing rhythm, and I'll try and do the accents. And we will do the repeat. We're doing pretty much everything except the louds and softs. And we're taking it really slow. 1, 2, and ready and go. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 and